Welcome to Bridget Ahead, the podcast where we dig into what's under construction in life, business, and community. I'm your host, Bridger Hopkins, and around here, we're honest about the journey, the ups and the downs, the progress and setbacks, and unexpected turns that really show us something that's worth sharing. Today, we're sitting down with Leah Geisler, the owner of Wildwood Design Co. She's a single mother of 6, her new grandmother, and when she's not running around after kids, running long distance, we're working with nonprofits. She's working to build her company in the male-dominated field of architectural design. Really exciting. Before we get started, if you enjoy conversations about building businesses, meaningful work, growing communities, be sure to like, follow, subscribe, however you're listening to this. It really helps us a lot and make sure that we can share these stories with those who want to hear them. Leah, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm really excited to hear about what you are building. To start off right away, can you just tell me a little bit about yourself and, you're growing up and start with that?
Sure. So you already mentioned I am a very proud mom of 6 kids, 6 to 21, and a new grandma to a little baby boy who's 6 months old tomorrow. So I always tell my kids that's my first and best job is being their mom. So I would be remiss if I didn't lead with that. But my history in my field really goes back to my childhood. My family has been in the construction industry for about 50 years. My dad was a custom home builder, and as a little girl, I was completely enthralled with the entire process of building. I loved visiting my dad on the job sites. That was back in the late 80s, early 90s. And at that time, there weren't any plans on the internet, but we would get the plan books in the mail, as well as the full-size blueprints that my dad would have for his current and upcoming projects. And I would pore over them, analyzing, thinking about what I would change, and even started drawing my own little house plans on graph paper. I still have some, by the way.
Nice.
I am a saver of all things. And so that's fun because I really began my journey as an architectural designer at about 10, 11 years old. And just was a passion and a little hobby of mine, which kind of strange for a little girl, but common for my family.
Yeah, if something you're growing up around, you're working on, it can be just a normal thing.
Yes, absolutely. And I was a daddy's girl from the minute I was born. So, of course, I loved everything that he did, but there was always that draw to construction. I think part of it is just it's inherently positive, hopeful, forward thinking, right? You're building a new home for the future. You're investing this large amount of time and resources in creating a new space for your family. And I think that's what drew me in then, the stories behind it, and continues to this day. I absolutely love that and consider it such a huge honor to be part of that.
Yeah, and houses are unique in the sense that that's where people spend most of their time. And it's also where you spend the most of your money.
Yes.
So it's an interesting place because it's a physical place, but it's kind of an emotional, weird, multi-dimensional space that people spend all of their time in.
Absolutely. There's so much, like you said, emotional tie, a nostalgic tie to the places that we call home and our loved ones. I think any one of us could probably go back and identify a significant memory from either our childhood home or many memories or grandma and grandpa. Yeah. Absolutely. That was a lot of my memories center around grandparents' homes and cousins. But when you think about how important the design and the built environment is to helping create those memories, it becomes really significant. And I think it's just a wonderful way to be part of a family story and help create their story. So that's how I approach the design. This is their home, and they're inviting me into the process to make the best version of that.
Another thing about like great design is most of it you don't actually notice.
Yes.
That's always something that's been interesting. And if you don't notice it, it's good.
Absolutely. So I tell my clients that, the difference of 6 inches or even 2 inches can make or break a room, especially in some of the high traffic functional spaces. Another thing that I always tell people is make sure we have a spot for your vacuum cleaner. So all of the open concept plans are still very popular. It's waning a little bit more toward and leaning toward more defined spaces. However, all these big, beautiful homes have been built, beautiful kitchens, beautiful bathrooms, living rooms, and there's no place for the vacuum or the crock pot or the roaster or all of these practical things that you don't want in your bedroom closet. Mm-hmm. So I think that's where my real job as a mom of many really comes in handy, because I live this daily with my family. I love to cook, kind of a domestically gifted. And so I think about all of these pieces on the practical side as well as the beautiful side, because I think good design should be both.
Form and function.
Yes. But the form first. You got to make sure that it works from a functional standpoint, and then construction. And some of the feedback that I've gotten from builders that I've worked with and others that have reviewed my plans is that I'm probably a lot closer to the construction world and the process than a lot of designers who are really removed from that. But that's what paid for my groceries when I was a little girl. That kept a roof over our head. My brother-in-law bought my dad's business. Both of my brothers are in the trade, many of my family members. And so I want to respect their skill, learn from them, and also still provide a beautiful design that will be enduring for many years for people's families.
And it's really probably a nice relation to have between, because a lot of designers, you wouldn't necessarily want building, right, and vice versa. You don't want a lot of builders just designing a house, because they can like, well, let's put a square here and a square here, nice room. It can be very too practical, or like, hey, this is the most efficient with our materials. So there's a nice interplay between, again, the design and the beauty aspect of it, as well as, okay, can we build it? How should we build it? All that.
Well, and let's not overcomplicate it. That happens a lot. Or why are we doing this? I've seen that in other designs and heard that feedback. Historically, contractors and architects or designers are like the arch enemies, right? Yeah. Neither of them like what the other does. And I really have a different approach, because I want to work together with them in collaboration and partnership as we work through it, and ultimately to give the client the best result, the best process, make it as stress-free. I mean, that's probably a misnomer. Right, yeah. Right. It's less stressful and enjoyable process for the client.
Yeah. Stepping back a little bit, what kind of education or, what background, aside from just growing up around it, what did you do? And were you always like, I'm going to be a designer, I'm going to be what did that look like for you?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So when I was a little girl, I had plans to become an architect. And I don't know, I somehow got it in my head that I had to be really good at math. And at the time, this is back in the Stone Ages, before there was CAD, but it really wasn't what it is today. And manual computations in my head, maybe I was told this. Anyhow, I'm an okay math person, but I'm a creative, so I much prefer other subjects. And so I abandoned that dream for whatever reason. I shifted gears and decided to pursue a degree in business marketing. So I have a Bachelor of Science. As things would play out, I graduated right around 9/11. The economic conditions were less than ideal. And at the time, marketing kind of equaled sales. So I started out in outside sales and did that for 5 years. I could do a whole podcast probably on just those experiences because it was wild, literally. But I survived that. I then started having my family, had children. I was a stay-at-home mom for a good chunk of time. And then when I re-entered the workforce, I worked at my church doing communications, built a website, which, by the way, I'd never done before, but yeah, go ahead and try that. And after that, I took a leap and applied for this job as foundation director at Essentia Health in Deer River for this brand new foundation. I really didn't have a lot of credentials for it.
I've been
changing diapers for quite a few years, and it'd been a while since I was really in a professional setting, but they took a chance on me, and I did that for almost 10 years. So, as one does, the love for design has never left me. It's in my blood. And built a couple houses of my own along the way, remodeled a couple more, and just kind of have been that go-to person where people ask, oh, what would you do? And I love it. So in the background, my brother-in-law, Earl Williams, Timbercraft Homes, I think, has he been on your podcast?
Yep.
Okay.
So he was on here.
He was maligning the fact that so many of the clients or potential clients in the Grand Rapids area were choosing out of town contractors because there was a lack of local designers, architects, architectural designers, drafting. Mm-hmm. There's just not a lot available here, or there hasn't been historically. And he kept bugging me maybe you should just start drawing plans. This would be great. And I'm like, yeah. And in the meantime, my number of children went from 5 to 6. And that's really when the Wildwood story starts. Okay. I mean, yes, when I was a kid, but I think I said this in the info that I sent to you. I don't know what was wrong with me. Maybe it was sleep deprivation, temporary insanity, but I had my job at the foundation. I was executive director and had 5 kids, brand new baby, and, perfect time to start a side, and air quotes, side business, as we all know what that looks like. Cool. Not a side business.
Yeah. So that's when did you go right from, hey, I'm a business now, or you're like, let me just dip my toe in. Let me do one. What did that even look like, that actual startup process?
Yeah. So, oh gosh, I would say on a financial standpoint, I kept my old job. I wasn't ready just to take the leap. Obviously, I have a lot of people to take care of in my home, and that was a pretty strong consideration. But I wouldn't say that we dipped. I didn't dip my toe in. I plunged headfirst into something I had really no idea what I was getting into. I know design. I knew enough construction to be dangerous, but I didn't know CAD. So there was that. I wasn't going to draw these homes on graph paper like I did when I was 12. Mm-hmm. So started the first project that we had was not insanely difficult, but it was more of just I would call that a beta test, leading up to what I would lovingly refer to as the Black Diamond, which nobody in their right mind does this, right? First of all, brother-in-law, he had a lot of faith in me. So did the clients, because I had nothing to show for it other than
I want to do this.
Well, and maybe, do you want to see pictures of my old house, which I designed? But I have no portfolio. I have no credentials. There's no letters behind my name except MOM. And so we started drawing this house, and it was a very eye-opening, painful, big learning process and experience.
Real quick with that too, where did you come up with the name Black Diamond, or is that just describing the experience?
Oh, Black Diamond. Well, that would be skiing. So,
yeah, okay, that's what I was getting at. So it's like that's the hard level where you're like dropping in. You're just dropping in.
We helicopter, really, like helicopter drop into an unknown environment, right? Because I thought that I kind of knew what I was getting into. Lies. I did not know what I was getting into.
What is it? The Dunning-Kruger?
Yes.
Yes. You know, I don't know if we'll see if my editors can put a chart here, but the Dunning-Kruger effect is like, you know, the level of experience starts here. And as you gain more experience, the amount of knowledge you think, like how you think you're really good and you know a lot. And then like the more time passes, you just like fall off a cliff. And then it takes you slowly start learning something and figuring out what's actually, so you have that naivete where like, oh, I can do this, which is probably good because that's what makes you jump in.
Absolutely.
And then after that, you're already going, so you just figure it out. Yeah,
and I would say that for good, bad, otherwise, I just don't have any quit in me. Being a mom of many, many children is helpful because it's demanding. You don't get to take a break from it 24/7, 365. And I love it. And I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. So I had that going for me too. Mm-hmm. Extremely hardworking. Both my parents were farm kids. So that was just, work ethic was ingrained in me. And when I was a little girl, I distinctly remember my dad telling me this over and over again. Don't ever let anybody tell you can't do something because you're a girl and you can do anything. So despite lots of other contrary voices and experiences, I think that core belief was what kept me going in this business and continuing to persevere, because I thought, well, yeah, of course I can't. Or of course I can do it. There wasn't I can't do that, which maybe that would be healthy. But I feel like as an entrepreneur, you need to be willing to take the first step. And the fake it till you make it, I think can be, I absolutely have lived by that. But there's this measured confidence with humility that I think is a secret ingredient to being successful. So you have the confidence to go out and take the leap, right? You're sticking your neck out and we're going to do this thing. But that doesn't mean that it's good to take on things that you have no business doing once it gets to a certain point. Like knowing your own limitations and saying, okay, I need to call somebody else in here to help me out. So in my case, that would be, I was delusional enough to think I could start a business like that with my literal baby on my lap. But I wasn't delusional enough to think that I could complete the construction docs. I do not have the chops for that. I don't have the experience. I have enough experience to get it to a certain point, but I don't complete all the technical details. And so that's maybe the counterbalance to fake it till you make it. Yes, but. Yes, but. And I guess there's probably a better way of saying it. Yeah.
You maybe choke up a little bit on what your limitation is. And instead of backing away, okay, I'm going to push it at least. And then you're going to get beyond that, or knowing when to call in somebody else to help out.
Right. Yeah.
So how did that first project go?
Well, I will say that short story, totally worth the risk. Okay. It turned out beautifully. It was a great project for my brother-in-law, as well as just really launching Wildwood and being that flagship in our portfolio, right? You have to start building those assets for marketing, and you have to start somewhere. So while it was incredibly challenging throughout the process, and I'll get more into that, it ended up being really what helped launch the company in a real way, that we had something tangible, right? That we could show for our work, and it's a beautiful home. So the process was not pretty. It was very messy, and there were many literal tears involved. So the baby's and mine, right? So I'm working my job as an executive director. I had a 6-month-old, I had a 5-year-old, 11, 13, 15, and 17. No, sorry, 9, 11, 13, 15. There we go. Okay. So my older kids were busy in their activities. My littler ones, obviously baby needs tons of care. The 5-year-old was in preschool, just pulled in a billion different directions. And I would stay up until midnight trying to learn the program while drawing, also knowing that this is summertime then, and they are shooting for a fall start. So the clock is literally ticking.
Yep.
My brother-in-law needs this done so he can keep his crew busy, right? No pressure. And I get part of the way through with this first software that I chose, and it's like, this is horrible. I should have gone with my gut when a CD-ROM came in the mail for this program, which had been recommended. I was like, 1996 called. They want their AOL or something like, they want their CD-ROM back. I'm like, what is this?
Yep.
And it just wasn't user-friendly. The support wasn't there. And I felt like they're clearly not being innovative if they're sending me a CD-ROM. Because guess what? I had to buy an external CD-ROM USB to open this stupid thing, because my computer does not come with that.
Yeah, they haven't for
like
a decade.
No. So then
Longer.
Switching gears, and also trying to make it appear as if I know what the heck I'm doing, right? With the client.
And pull out your CD-ROM player. Like 1 second, guys. Let me get this queued up.
They'll probably be listening to this, and they're fantastic. But so halfway through, I'm cutting bait on this, which was also another risk, because you're like, crap, now I have to learn another program. I have to redraw this whole thing up to this point, right? Yeah. I have to explain to my clients why does this look different? Because they have a different appearance in the plan documents and the 3Ds and all of that. It's like, so what I let my clients know, we are in the process of upgrading our software. 100% true, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Doesn't that sound professional?
Yeah.
Do you feel confidence? So did that, and then just found out, thank God, this was a good change. And it ended up saving time, money, all of that, because immediately this program was so much more intuitive, so much more user-friendly, and it sped up that process a ton. So crisis semi-averted.
Yeah, delayed or put off.
Not without lots of lost sleep, because I was still getting up with the baby, and then I'd stay up till midnight, and then I'd go to my real job in the morning, but I'd get up like super early so I could get a couple hours in of drafting before my kids get up, get them out to school and baby to daycare and all of that. So that process was... It made, I honestly said right before the plans were done, or maybe it was soon after, that I'm never doing this again. This is horrible. I think I probably made $1 to $2 an hour. I could have gotten a job at Target and would have enjoyed it much more at times, right? It would have been less stressful.
Yeah.
Also, I didn't need another job, so what the heck? But no, I'm like, absolutely not. This is it. Done. Going back to the foundation, and I'm done with this design stuff.
And then it continued.
Yes, then enter COVID.
Oh, yeah.
Which is kind of, it ended up serendipitously became this secondary launching pad for Wildwood, because of the seismic shift that happened in the world and remote work and real estate and all of the things that you are very close with every single day, or you have been throughout your career as a realtor, it really shook up and reignited the building industry, and it just kind of blew up. And we had the opportunity to be more selective about the projects that we're taking on, pace. And I said, well, I suppose, do you really want to turn work down? After I had a vacation and probably had some more time to just forget, it's kind of like when you have a baby, you think right after you think you'll never do that again, right? But this is long enough down the road that the memories have dimmed. I'm thinking, okay, maybe. So just started doing it. And lo and behold, it started going really well. And COVID just kickstarted everything from in the construction industry and for the design business. And that's kind of where it really got going.
Got real.
It did get real.
So COVID, that was like maybe the hard start. Like, okay, this is what I'm really meant to be doing. When did it become your full-time gig?
May 2021.
Okay.
So was that 4.5 years ago?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still kind of a baby in it.
Well, yeah, but it's like you said, right after that was the perfect time because it really jump-started a lot of these home projects that people in the market. We've really not seen a lot of these types of homes that you're working on. We actually haven't seen many types of any homes being built in the last, really since probably 2008, once the housing market slowed down, stopped, just construction hasn't really picked up. What are you seeing now with a lot of the projects you're working on? How many are you guys working on each year? What's going on there now?
Sure. Well, we really specialize in lake properties and for our area. I mean, that's a primary focus of our business. We do a good number of off-lake homes as well, but the lake homes are really the bread and butter of the business. And I would say that it's a pretty remarkable exponential change in just the price point of these homes, even in let's just say 5 years.
Yeah.
So
just in the time you've been working.
Yes, there's and this is for many things. There's like the pre-COVID world, there's a post-COVID world. And for construction and real estate, it couldn't be any more dramatic, I don't think, because we didn't see $1 million homes very often, even say 5-6 years ago. I mean, that was a very nice home, very nice home, luxurious. And now $1 million is just pretty standard. I don't want to say standard, but for new construction, especially in our area, it's easy to get to because you've got your property, you have all of the infrastructure, so your mechanicals. Most people are on a septic, well, excavating, electrical, mechanical, all of these things just to get going. And you're probably, some sites are, you're between $100,000 and $200,000 just for that piece. We haven't even gotten started on the house yet, any of it. I mean, land excluded, I should say, too. That's just getting the property prepped and ready. So it's really easy to then make up that difference between, or close the gap between that and $1 million, even, especially considering the escalation of wages, supplies, all of the building materials went up dramatically. And while we've seen that level off, they're not going to go down.
Yeah, it's not returning back to where it was.
Maybe some of the more commodity items that end up, everybody watches the lumber prices, for dimensional lumber or let's say OSB, but that ends up being a very small percentage of the overall cost of your building materials.
Right.
So while it's significant, it's not really what's driving the overall cost escalation.
Yeah, there's a lot of, 2x4s. You're not going to find prettier 2x4s or like OSB. But then when you get to a lot of the finishes, that's where the price can vary really dramatically. And because you have to design for the lifetime too, because you can spend all this money on a new home and put like the cheapest finishes. You're going to be redoing it again in a couple of years, and then even the cheapest finishes are more expensive. I mean, we were seeing the last handful of years, you go and get an estimate on stuff, and if it doesn't happen within 30, 60 days, you're going to need to get a new price because things have gone up in that amount of time. And being able to control or get ahead of that is, I suppose that's some of what you get to deal with clients and stuff too, is preparing them for, this is what you're thinking you want. And this is the sticker shock of what that is.
Yeah. So enter Pinterest, House, Instagram, everything online. AI. Oh my goodness. AI. I think it's a great tool. Also, and myself included, we are all drawn to these beautiful images and homes. They're like art, right? And we aspire to them. But there are very few of us that can actually afford to execute them.
Right.
Even my clients with very healthy budgets are shocked when I say, for example, that one door that you love, that's $60,000. $60,000 for a door. And it's really designed for a different climate. So let's talk about how much you want that. Because I'm the first one to advocate for those budget busters if it's a priority for you, right? Yep. Like we all have to mind our budget and figure out how we get to that end point. But where are some concessions that you'd be willing to make in other places to make this happen? Or maybe it's just a no-go. We take it out, their jaws drop and they had no clue the level. And so the budget conversation is the first thing that one of the first questions in my little questionnaire that I send out to people prior to meeting. It's the first thing that we talk about. I will say that there's still, even after we talk about it, I think there's still a mindset of people that, we could probably save money, right? It's not going to be that expensive. But spoiler alert, it's going to be more than that.
Yeah. The longer we wait, the more we're talking about this, the price is going up.
Right. So I will attribute this quote to Earl, my brother-in-law, Earl Williams, when he talks to clients. And often I'm there because we collaborate on a lot of projects. And he'll say, people ask me if I can time the market. And it's like the cheapest time to build is always now. And I would echo that because the cheapest time to always build is now if it isn't within your budget, right?
Right.
Wouldn't be smart otherwise.
It's no different than I say people to, if you need a house and you're looking to buy a house. Yeah. It's going to be hard to move 6 months either direction and like say, oh yeah, you got the best deal possible. If you can do it and it's realistic and it's in your budget, you should probably do it because it's always going up. Trends have always shown things go up over time.
Right. And this is your home. I guess I also look at the intrinsic value. To me, it's not necessarily it's not a real estate play. It's not an income generating stream. That's not the primary intent. Mm-hmm. And thankfully, many of us have benefited from, our properties increasing in value over time as homeowners. But the first thing is having a home for yourself and your family. Mm-hmm. And secondarily, if you're smart about it and you stay within your budget, then the market can do what it does. And you can just continue living your life.
Yeah. And I know, I think a lot of people think too with building a home, it can be just a lot of fun. Like, I just get to go shop for my house and make it exactly what I want it to be. But I hear from most people, they get through it and they're like, I'm never doing that again.
Yeah.
It's something where, it's enjoyable and usually they're happy with the outcome, but it's not easy. You can go and look at a house if you're going to just buy a house that's already existing, you're like, oh, I don't like this and I don't like this. And like, you can change things, but you're not like, oh, I want this door to be over a little bit and I want a bigger window. You're usually not even in that mindset. But when you start from like, okay, let's build the house you want, and you're like, okay, blank slate.
Yeah.
Like, you get all the questions. You get to answer every question. And that's pretty overwhelming for a lot of people.
Yes, absolutely. So I have to remind myself that, well, I'm not normal in a lot of ways, but certainly not in this. And I just grew up in it. So a lot of the stuff is second nature. And it was so ingrained in my mind that I don't think that it's overwhelming. Also, that's confirmation for me. I'm absolutely in the right field. I love what I do. I am a kid in a candy store when I get to do a lot of the stuff. Of course, not everything is perfect in any job situation, but I love the whole process and it's exciting. And I love picking finishes and materials and how everything comes together. And seeing that in the beginning in my mind before I even start drawing on paper when I talk to a client and they tell me about themselves and what they love and the needs of them and their families, the future goals, that's really when that design starts brewing in my brain. And I get excited about it. But the rubber meets the road when you are sitting with your builder at a meeting and you're going over your finish schedule and they're like, we need to know tomorrow what color your windows, what kind of siding, roofing, the list goes on. You know, there's usually chunks throughout the process where you have several decisions that need to be made in a timely manner so that you do not hold up construction, because lead times, well, during COVID and a little after, were insane. They've come back, but it's still a significant factor. You have to be ahead of that, and a good builder will have you on a schedule to keep everything rolling. And that's when people get stressed. Then they call me and they're like, I don't know what to do. And
which color tan do I pick? Or which
decision paralysis. It's real, and it just shuts people down. Because it's the biggest investment most of us will ever make in our lives. It's your home, and you don't want to do the wrong thing, right? So it can be one of the most stressful things that people ever do too.
Right.
Is build. So
one you mentioned, analysis paralysis or choice paralysis. Have you found that it's easier to ask people questions like first thing in the morning or follow up? Because I know typically throughout a day, people are bombarded with more and more choices throughout the day, or that's just something I was curious about.
You know, with my process, in the beginning, we're getting a really good idea of people's style and what they're drawn to. And what I encourage people is to put together any kind of inspiration board, but send it to me. It might look very disparate, but there'll be common themes that come through, and people are consistently drawn to things they love. So I say, stick with what you love. So when they tell me that, oh gosh, I'm drawn to that, and I give them a couple options, they keep coming back to it. Then what I do, I try to take some selections and bring it down to, okay, this or this, this or that. And what happens with a lot of decisions is if you get stuck in that over analysis, everything starts blurring together. You'll start second guessing.
Eyes glaze over.
Well, is there a purple undertone in that, Bridger? Did you see? That looks pink? I swear it looks pink. And they start spiraling down the rabbit hole. So I try to get people to go with their gut instinct.
Yeah.
And that usually plays itself out and repeats over and over again. They'll see and I'll tell them, you've been consistently choosing this, even though you say you like this, because there is that disconnect sometimes between what we think we like, or maybe even vernacular.
Right.
Modern to you is not what modern I have in my head.
Right.
So we have to get on the same
modern
page.
Farmhouse,
ultra
chalet,
modern. Yes.
New
modern
chic, shabby, like all these different things that people see, especially on social media, because if you're in that mindset, you're looking at those Instagram accounts that are
Yes.
design and like, well, I'm seeing a lot of this. This must be what's popular and good and in right now. But, so you can tell yourself that, but really like, well, I actually kind of like this more. And so being able to suss that out and help people through those, that's big because you can have the regret after the fact, like, well, I thought everybody would like this, but I really would have liked a different thing.
Right. Well, and that's, I would encourage people, don't chase trends.
Right.
If you really love something that just so happens to be trendy right now, cool. But figure out what you like, and I can help with that. But then it's going to be enduring. So my goal is to design a home, both architecturally and from a design standpoint, that will stand the test of time for the design, and not say, oh gosh, I can tell that was built in 2025.
Yep.
Pinging something that will down the road probably become this unfortunate thing, like the teal and raspberry of the 90s.
Right.
Stay away from that, or whatever it may be,
carpet
the faux pas. Most things come back around, but I would say that, the old adage, something you love never goes out of style, 100% true.
One thing I've actually seen is that colored like toilet fixtures and stuff are coming back.
Yeah.
I've had ads for like forest green Kohler toilets on my Facebook, and it's like, well, okay, it's happening, I guess.
Absolutely. You just have to wait long enough. It'll come back.
Yeah, that's what I've been telling some people when they're looking at houses. I don't like this. They're like, just wait a little bit longer, and I think it's going to be back in.
Yes, absolutely.
So it sounds like you've really gotten to a point where you're kind of comfortable in business, or you kind of know, okay, this is the general process, which is huge, especially from going from Black Diamond, like, what am I doing, to like, hey, I have a process that I'm running through. But in this time, what's been the biggest challenge that you faced?
Honestly, there's several. The first one I would say is that on a personal level, my ex-husband and I entered into this as business partners when we began the process of Wildwood. I was always the owner on paper, but of course, as a married couple, we were both co-owners and built this business together. I was always the design lead and the creative energy behind it. But my husband at the time took care of the structural, technical aspects of the design, which we talked about earlier. That's outside of my wheelhouse, and I won't pretend that I'm proficient at that. So there is a good chunk of the projects that he would complete. And we both took the leap to become full-time in Wildwood in 2021, him first in January and me in end of April, early May. And throughout that time, without going into a lot of detail, but it got to the point where we had been separated off and on a few times, and I needed to get out of the situation. But I had no other financial resources, no income outside of our joint business, right? And we worked together even when we were separated, and it just wasn't a situation that could continue. And I made the decision that I had to get out. And if that meant that I would lose everything financially, then so be it. I needed to do what was best for my children my children first. And I made that decision through lots of just agonizing self-reflection and talking to advisors and friends and family and figuring out, how do I make this happen? Like, I have 6 kids. I have a mortgage. I have a lot of responsibilities that I need to continue to fulfill. I need to keep a roof over the head. We had probably 60 to 70 clients with open projects. I can't just walk away from these contracts. Like, how does that even work legally, right? Do I refund them? I just didn't even know. And so I made the decision. I'm gonna stick with Wildwood. I looked into other jobs. I could go back to nonprofit, right? Because I loved it. And I had almost a decade of experience as an exec director. And so it would have been something that I could do. But on the flip side, I needed flexibility. Like my littlest was in preschool still, lots of children, lots of things going. So I made this decision, sticking with Wildwood. I have no clue how this is going to happen. And essentially, I fired my business partner instantly with no backup. So here we are, August, September 2023. So a little over 2 years ago, I just pulled the pin, literally pulled the pin. Yeah, it was a grenade I was pulling. And I don't think I ran away before it exploded.
I was going to say, and you were holding it.
I was holding said grenade. Yes, absolutely. So that's really when it got real then.
Yeah.
Very real. Uh-huh.
How did you deal with all of those projects that were, in various states of completion that needed to get done, needed to get bookended somehow? How did you get through all that?
How did I get through it? Okay. If I'm being honest, I really don't even know, right? Okay. The grace of God. Yes. My faith has been really the only thing that has kept me going through all of this and has been my lifeline, literally, and not in a sense of just saying it, but I would not be here without it. So that's all in the background. But on a practical level, I don't know. That first day in the office, I kind of got my wits about me. I kept projects moving forward that I could, and then I started diving into like, how do I find a drafts person who is proficient in my specific software? There's a lot of drafting softwares, right? And I had this moment where I realized, I should look on the website of my software company. And they had a job board seeking work, and also for people seeking a draftsperson. And I made a post, and I kid you not, within 24 hours, I probably got 10, 15 responses.
Wow.
Thankfully, I had spent a good amount of time building our website, and it looked way more professional than we were. Let's be honest. Yeah. That's the fake it till you make it, right? And thankful that I learned how to do that. And my marketing background, all those things were sales that were tools in my tool belt coming into this. So I had this website that it looks really nice and we're kind of a big deal, right? They didn't know that I'm just this mom who's trying to figure out how the heck I'm getting all of my children to where they need to be and blah, blah, blah. So I found an incredible draftsman who has over 20 years of experience. He's a super user in our software, which is Chief Architect, and immediately I did these interviews, which I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing. So
you like architecture?
Do you enjoy long walks on the beach? Just kidding. We were sitting there and on Zoom, right? Because they're remote, and I'd come up with questions that I was going to ask them. And we're walking through it, but there was just this immediate rapport, as well as probably a common vision for a business and the way that we would even bill clients. There's all of those pieces that I had a gut feel that this was right. And that's who I've worked with ever since. So cool. The other piece of that was very challenging too was that he has a specific way of creating the plans, templates, etc., for what the client would see as their blueprints and the construction docs, and this is the back end side of it. And obviously, we didn't use that, and so essentially, for him to complete these plans in the works, I had to pay him to redraw everything. To get to the technical docs, which was very expensive, right? So then profitability, and I'm trying to just recreate all of this while trying to stay afloat in every way. And somehow we did.
Yeah.
So that for sure, I don't even know. There's so many times that I just wanted to quit, throw in the towel and do anything but try to run a business as a single mom, because there's this other layer of being a female in a male dominated field that I don't want to overplay that, but it's real. So it's a real challenge. I have to earn my credibility twice as hard as some of my male counterparts.
And it's just a different language and terminology, even a lot of times, that you're boys club sometimes that you're breaking into.
Absolutely. Well, that's where I pull out my contractor's daughter card, because I know a decent amount about the process of construction. I know the terminology. I know the people. Some of these contractors knew of my family, and so that helped, right? But one day, this was just last summer, I got a frantic call from a contractor. Concrete crew was out there trying to stake out the footings. And they're like, I don't know what the heck you're doing, but these numbers aren't adding up. And I was in the office. I said, you know what? Hold on. I know you want to get this done. I can run you a new plan today. I don't know what one you're working off of, but what I'm looking at here is pristine. It should be good.
Mm-hmm.
So I get down there, and in giant letters on the plan, right? Preliminary only, not for construction.
Like, oh, this is the problem here.
Right. Like, this is not the right plan. This was concept. This was iteration a year ago with the homeowner. And I've learned my lesson. Like, I don't include dimensions on those anymore at all.
Right.
Because that's problematic for several reasons. But of course, I roll up into a job site not wearing what I should, as far as like if I'm going to be there. It's muddy, and I've got this little dressed shoes or whatever on, and they kind of look at me, and I set the plan down, and I said, well, you guys weren't working with the final docs. And I said, just so you know, I make a really good hand. I could be out here and push. I'll help you pour concrete today, just joking. Mm-hmm. But that's not something that they're used to.
Right. Well,
so I'm not the stereotypical designer. No, that's not me.
And showing up on site even. So what's a day look like? Just a normal, ordinary day look like for you now?
Oh gosh, Bridger, what's normal?
Right. Yeah.
I think one of the things that I love most about what I do is that every day doesn't have to look the same. So most of the time, I'll get into the office a little bit after 8, after I get all of my kiddos dropped off at school, get settled for the day. A lot of days are split between me working on projects and doing the architectural design and meeting with clients. Mm-hmm. And I have started doing more of material selections now, which is really fun and exciting for me. That's also time consuming because I'm actually sourcing the material samples, the materials, making sure that that's then integrated into our 3D software so that the client can see it. So that's a part of my day as well. And I build time in my schedule to serve in nonprofit roles in the community too, because I feel like as a business owner and just as a person, as a mom, as someone who grew up here in Grand Rapids, it's so important that we serve to make our community vibrant, vital, help our neighbors. And I feel like that's a way that I can build my business too in an intrinsic way.
But it's a great way to just be a part of the community that you're wanting to build. Mm-hmm. is moving, nudging. It's hard to make big changes, but you can make those little changes over time to direct things in a way that you design in a sense as well.
Absolutely. And again, that we're building something, right? So if you're not growing, you're dying. And change is hard in the community. And I've been a little bit on the front lines of this with working with clients that are coming from all over the country, really, to relocate here. The properties are changing, kind of the culture is changing a little bit around, people with different types of careers and different levels of wealth are becoming more and more common in this area, and things are shifting. And you do get the feedback from people that have grown up here or lived here long term, like, you don't like it, right? This is send them back to wherever. And I would push back on that and say that it's good. We have to. You can't ever freeze anything at a moment in time that serves you specifically, and expect that it's gonna flourish for the long term. You have to grow, you have to change, you have to adapt, and hopefully do it with a smile on your face.
Yeah. And
makes it a lot easier.
And sometimes if you get along with it and move with it, you can influence it. You can
Absolutely.
you can actually make it how you want it to be versus like fighting against it. And then it definitely doesn't go how you want it.
100%. And that's what I tell my kids too. Like, I've hoped that I've instilled in them, like, that we're not waiting around for someone else to do something. And you don't have to really think a whole lot about doing the right thing. Mm-hmm. It's not something you have to stew on for a while. Like, you see a need, you take care of it. And it really, to me, is that simple. It's not easy, but it is simple. That's what we're here for. So I feel like as a business owner, as an entrepreneur in our community, one important role and responsibility that I have is to continue to invest and give back in nonprofits. And of course, I love that world. I came out of that after 10 years. So maybe it's a way of me selfishly keeping my foot in the door there too. But
yeah. With what you're looking to do now, where do you see things going in the future? You're a handful of years in, kind of getting steady, stable, or comfortable. Maybe to whatever degree you can get comfortable in what you're doing with still growing and changing. But what's next for Wildwood?
Well, Bridger, I think you'd be scared to jump into my brain. It's a scary place to be. My assistant at one point looked at my GoDaddy profile, which had all of the domains that I've purchased. And she looked at me like, what's going on here? I'm like, I just buy these when I have an idea. Just step away. Don't be worried. So there's a lot of really exciting things coming, I think, in our world, and I think it'll serve our clients well, our community. So first of all, I mentioned before that I'm growing, soft launching the materials and interior, exterior design. Mm-hmm. So I'm not taking that on full steam. Maybe I learned a lesson with getting the helicopter drop into the Black Diamond.
Right.
That, you may end up dying out there.
Yeah.
I don't want to die.
At least I'm not going to announce it to everybody.
Right. Exactly. So I'm taking on projects right now that I know that I can execute in that regard. And I hope to grow that. I would like to grow the team locally. That's a goal of mine in 2026. And then the next really big idea that I'm working on is a boutique plan store for Wildwood. So if you've gone online to search for plans, which I do all the time because I'm crazy, but I want to see what's out there. It's kind of like going to pick out a faucet, right? Or you go to pick a light fixture and you're like, there are 10,000 choices. Mm-hmm. And many of those plans are not designed for northern Minnesota for a variety of reasons, structurally, even just layout. They don't have mudrooms. They don't have entryways. Stuff is sized weird. It's very boilerplate. A lot of those plans are tailored to a builder, builder grade, as you would say, which I take great offense because builder grade at my house growing up was whittling something from a solid piece of beechwood. Dad, that's for you. Very high quality craftsmanship is what I'm used to. But I would say in the proverbial sense, builder grade. Okay.
Yep.
So I feel like there's this niche to have a semi-custom house plan. So say, Bridger, you and your wife were like, gosh, yeah, I think we want to build. We've got this piece of property. We don't want to do the full-blown design from scratch, right? Mm-hmm. I want to find something that we're like, yeah, I like this. We can work with this. And it's designed for our area. So it's going to be a small curated selections of plants that are, designed by us, by the team at Wildwood. We'll start small with that, but you could buy the stock plans and then we can modify them.
It's kind of an
as
a la
needed.
carte.
Yes, but it's so much smaller of a selection, and the focus is on the service and the experience. So, and I've never modified a plan personally that I bought online, but I have had a few clients that have. And the process is very blind. So you buy the plan, which looks cheap on the front end, right?
Yep.
So it's like, oh my gosh, $1,200? Sweet. But if you want one thing changed, they'll say, well, you need to, for these changes, you need to send us $3,000. And then you don't even know, you send off the money and then you get the plan back. And if it's not what you want, you just keep going.
I need another $3,000.
Well, I don't even know.
Yeah.
It sounds, so I'm too much of a control freak. I couldn't handle that. But in our process, it would really be collaborative. I love working one-on-one with clients, with families. I'll never get away from that. This would just be a recurring revenue stream that will allow me to scale without cloning myself or burning myself into the ground, right? Because my family is always my priority. I need to take care of them and provide for my kids, but I also would like to grow the business.
Right.
And so that's a way I can do that. So it's going to be along the same lines of the same aesthetic, a lot of the same architectural styles. We're going to do some little accessory structures like boathouses. I've done a number of boathouse designs. They're really fun. They're little, but they're super fun to integrate architectural detail. The garage, the classic northern Minnesota garage with your bonus space above, right? Everybody wants it. Everybody has it. Not everybody, but they all want it. So that's the next thing in the works. And then another layer upon that would be, okay, this house comes like preloaded with 4 or 5 different material packages, like styles. So it's still basically the same house, but we want the, modern farmhouse style, which is, let's be honest, that's kind of waning. But I'm using that as an example. So you'd get those finishes, interior and exterior. You get a finish schedule, 100% complete. You can hand that to your builder and know that the decision's been made for you.
Yeah.
But yet you still have a say in the process, right? Like you can decide from a small, more curated list of options. And I love the How I Built This podcast. It's entrepreneurs' crazy stories. I love it because they all are just as inexperienced and crazy as me. But the founder of Chipotle said that, from a psychology standpoint, people want 4 or 5 choices to feel like they have enough choice, but not overwhelmed.
Right.
So put that into the context of a home build, right? It's not 4 or 5 choices. It's not 10 or 20. It's 4,000 for one thing.
Yeah, that's just the doorknob.
That is the doorknob.
And that's
not even the hinges.
There's the drawer pulls, like all these things.
100%. And people don't realize till they get into it, like you have to, what kind of rough end do you want for your drain or your shower or which...
what kind of shower do you want?
It goes on and on and on. And if you don't love it like me, it becomes this huge burden. So I think that it's going to be a really great business model, but also I'm super excited about the resource that it'll provide to clients because I think it'll be really helpful. And then the builders as well, because historically builders could build and stick in that lane. And the clients did have 2 or 3 choices. It was brass, it was antique brass, or maybe a brushed nickel, right? For everything.
Yep.
And oak or pine, or maybe maple if you get really crazy, right? Yeah. And now...
And you can have any door you want as long as it's 6-panel.
100%. And now everything's kind of this one-off situation and it makes people crazy. So I'm pumped about that. I think it's going to be a great addition to Wildwood as well as just for clients. And because I am, certifiably insane. I also have some other business plans in the works that I'm not quite ready to hard launch yet, but maybe I'll come back and share that with you when I am.
Yeah, exciting. Well, and even, just hopping back to what you're working on now, being able to take people, elevate that experience from, I'm kind of taking a leap of faith with this website, find this plan. Because you can also see, I've seen plans, like it's only $50. And then you're like, oh yeah, because there's like half of the dimensions you actually need. It doesn't tell you anything, it's a picture.
Yeah. Are you talking? Yeah, I know the ones that you are referring to.
Yeah. And, people will pull those things up and you're like, well, and now AI can just generate it really quickly. But, being able to elevate that and then streamline it too, because a lot of people don't have a big enough desire to make all of those decisions.
Right.
And so curating it, it's the same experience in a lot of ways as custom home, but it's really boiled down to what can be done quickly, has been proven.
Cost effective. And I'm looking at materials that are going to last for the long term and how that will play out. That was drilled into me growing up, that, make sure how's this going to perform 10, 20, 30 years from now. And because then time value of money, right? The cost of replacing it exponential.
Plus labor again.
Yep.
You're going to mess up your space. You're going to get kicked out.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Yep.
Do it right the first time. With it too, being able to have somebody kind of guide you through that experience is big, because most people don't build a house every couple of years. It's usually a one-time thing. Maybe if they're really ambitious, they'll do it twice. But like, hey, let's make it a positive experience, because how you start, it really impacts how it ends too.
Exactly. And I do, along those lines, I strongly encourage my clients to pick a builder early on in the process and commit to them. So in our market, if you're going apples to apples with the design and material selections, quality, the builders are going to be pretty close price-wise. I think there's this misconception that you're going to get gouged. Contractors are just like a step below attorneys as far as the public perception, right? Because they're the people that come in, they rip you off, they do a crappy job, they're living in a mess, blah, blah, blah. And so I encourage people, I have a list of reputable builders that I work with. I say, interview them, make sure you're comfortable with their communication style. And it really is a relationship. So a good builder might not be a good fit for you, and that's okay. It's not, it needs to be a good fit. Mm-hmm. And once you do that, commit to it. And the builder and I will work together from jump with the design. And I much prefer it that way because it just streamlines the whole process. It reduces change orders, which are super expensive.
Right. Doing it, all the work again a second time, tearing stuff out.
Right.
Hugely expensive.
Or I hate this the way it looks, right? So that's where the 3D software and rendering really comes in handy, because you can see the whole thing before you ever start building.
It's cheaper on the screen than...
Yes, I like the way that cheaper on paper sounds, so I say that, but electronically, to move a wall 6 inches, pretty painless.
Well, and it's really nice anymore with the technology that's available, where you can make a change and you can send it to their phone, or they can look at it, approve it in real time, which makes it easier. It's not like, okay, I made this change, now we're going to wait for you to come in and I'll print it off. Because that was the case not that long ago. And then now being able to make those, on the fly sort of alterations before it really needs to be a decision is huge.
It is. And I say the blueprints are for the builders and 3D is for the client.
Yeah.
There's a few clients that they geek out about the blueprints or the construction docs, but most people, it's the 3D. And so many times if we're kind of refining design, working through the process, we can do those live changes either in office or via Zoom, where you can see, like, if we do this, what do you think? And a lot of times it'll be a client request where they want to change something, and I'll say, okay, let's look at it in 3D, see if you still think they're like, it's either, yeah, absolutely, let's change it, or, oh, let's go back to the way it was.
That's not what I thought.
Yeah, exactly. But most normal people don't visualize like that. And that's cool. That's why I have a job.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why I have a business.
Yeah. Otherwise, people just have spreadsheets and then hand that to their builder, and here we go.
Oh, yeah.
So wrapping up here this is the toolbox takeaway section.
Okay.
What is a mindset or a tool, a book, something that, you repeatedly go back to that really helps you keep moving through the hard times, moving forward, getting through, what you got to get through every day in business and life, family.
Yeah. So one of the things that I've learned, hard fought, I am pretty hard-headed and apparently a slow learner, but throughout my life and lots of adversity, is that the hardest fought things are the best. And I have told myself again and again, hard isn't bad. And even when my kids were tiny, they probably had no idea what I was talking about. I would say hard is not bad. It's not inherently bad. It can be bad, but hard can be very good. And there's so few things in this life that are good that come without a lot of hard work behind it, whether seen or unseen, physical labor, emotional labor, mental labor. So when we encounter those difficult times, there's a choice to be made. There's a fork in the road. You can either quit or, as I say, like, tighten your laces, right? Mm-hmm. I'm a runner. I'm a late bloomer. I didn't start till I was 35, but it's that concept of like, okay, tighten your laces, get ready. Like, you got to work hard. You got to keep putting in the work to make this happen. And it's going to be painful, and there's highs and there's lows. And as an entrepreneur, along with the hard doesn't mean bad, it doesn't have to be bad, is that I heard this quote, and I apologize, I can't attribute it to the correct person, but they said, don't let the highs get you so high and don't let the lows get you so low, right? So
steady.
Yes, which so much easier said than done. And I can tell you right now, as I was, cut my teeth in sales, those sales, and like did the high, right? But then 5 minutes later, you can get a call from a disgruntled client and you're like, why am I even doing this?
Yeah.
And I think it's so okay and it's good to feel the human emotion at the time, right? But like, that's not what you build your life on. That's not what you build your business on. You have to just like let it be what it is and kind of ride it out. So if you're willing to, if you know that you're in it for the right reasons, if you have passion, and if you have the drive to keep going, you basically can do anything, right? Mm-hmm. You just have to be willing to persevere in adversity. And granted, there are going to be those times where you can't anymore. Yeah. But if you can look back with a clear conscience and say, I gave it everything I had, I know I did my best, then even if you fail on paper, you succeed, because most people in the world will never do that. They'll never even take the chance. So you'll never be able to be successful without taking the chance, without being willing to work through adversity and have embrace long suffering, like patience. The word for it, long suffering, man, I feel that in my gut, because that's distance running, like suffering long for 26.2 miles or 13.1 or whatever. But that's what life is. That's what entrepreneurship is. It's like gutting it out in the last 5K of the marathon when there's nothing left. Mm-hmm. And you just have to continue moving forward. So those are the things that I would say that have really helped guide me throughout this and kept me going.
Yeah. Well, no, I really appreciate you stopping by and sharing your story, sharing what you're doing, and you've got a lot more coming up. It sounds like too.
I think so. Yeah.
So we might be talking again before too long here.
You never know. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Again, thanks, and we'll be in touch.
Yeah. Thanks, Bridger. Thanks for having me.
This episode of Bridge Out Ahead is brought to you by Legacy Bridge Real Estate, brokered by Grand Properties. At Legacy Bridge, we believe real estate is one of the most powerful ways to build wealth. More importantly, to build your legacy. Whether you're buying your first home, selling a property, or looking to invest, our trusted team is here to walk with you every step of the way. Legacy Bridge Real Estate, where legacies begin. Today's theme music is We're Making Good Time by Jed LaPlante. Thanks for joining us today. And remember, no matter the detour you encounter, the road ahead is still yours to build. I'm Bridger Hopkins, and this is Bridge Out Ahead.